Okay, first of all, how's it going, guys? Okay. Oh. Talking problems. Okay. So, I think it's really great because of what Dr. Steve said earlier. I'll be touching on a kind of my personal journey of my experience of doing much of the things he described earlier. So, who am I? I'm a dreamer that takes action to empower change. Transferring evidence-based research into practice. My aim is to bridge the gap between science and practical application. Learning firsthand and then paving the way for others to make the change. However, this is not how it all started. Like all success stories, my path was formed on a struggle. As for every personal struggle, some are visible, and like mine, many are not. So let's start at the beginning. Sport has always been a big part of my life, but not for the reasons you may believe. I was 5 years old when I was diagnosed with a flexibility disorder, and I was told if I was not active for 60 minutes a day, that through puberty I could be wheelchair bound as an adult. So, not one of my favourite photos, but you know, when camera phones aren't around, it's the one photo that it can get. So I thought it'd be to put something rugby specific up there. As you can imagine, when I was 5 years old, this is quite a significant impact. As a child, it led me to develop a strong passion for sport. It ended up taking on any sport I could get my hands on. But like most Kiwis, rugby became my life. Spanning from 4 to 21, everything was rugby. But however, this was not the best sport for me to select. As a result, I'm extremely injury prone. So, why am I injury prone? Simply put, I have extremely tight muscles, while my ligaments are extremely loose, making a very significant imbalance within my joints. So although I've dealt with a lot more injuries that are up on the slide, I thought I would select the injuries I attained during one rugby season where I really ran my body into the ground, as you can see. I truly pushed the limits of my body, forced to play 80 minutes every game, and being young and dumb, I pushed through it. By the end of the season, I pretty much had my whole body strapped, head to toe. Okay, perception. Perception is everything. Oops. We'll come back to that. Jump at the gun. I could have looked at the season with regret, which I did for quite a while. But it was this season that threw me down the path of where I am today. I personally believe that there is no such thing as a bad situation nor a good situation. It's how you perceive that situation. You always have a choice. So, back to the slide. You can either be a kitten or you can be a lion. It's all about how you perceive it. Okay. It was extremely disheartening not to be able to do the thing I loved, which was run. That's where I found a lot of my headspace. So I had to reflect on my own personal philosophy. Within every negative situation, there is a positive, just sometimes you need to look harder. It also led me to think different. After 3 long years of being unable to fix my injuries and being unable to run, I tried everything traditional medicine suggested, to no success. It would have been easy to focus on the negatives, but instead I decided to turn my struggle into my strength. With my background in sports science, I decided to dive deep into the literature and identify the latest research and identify what was going on with me. Through this process, I identified I had chronic inflammation, as Dr. Steve Joe has alluded to previously. And that was stemming for me. What I've chosen quite a few of the issues he did talk about with the mould as well, but the ones I'll be focusing on today is going to be adrenal stress and the poor gut health. So I was going to talk about what is gut health and what is adrenal stress, but I think he's pretty well covered it. So I'll briefly touch on it, but I think he's done a pretty good job. He's a lot more advanced than me. Okay, so the gut. So when it comes to health and energy, even your mood, it all begins with a healthy gut. So what are the common symptoms? So digestive issues such as bloating, gas, diarrhea, sugar cravings, bad breath, food allergies and sensitivities, moodiness, anxiety, depression, skin problems, diabetes and autoimmune disease. But what is causing what is causing poor gut health? It's the abuse of antibiotics, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, diet, elevated hormone levels as a result of stress, and environmental issues such as mould, as Dr. Steve Joe alluded to earlier. So why is gut health important? Again, to restate the effects of serotonin. So 90% of your serotonin is found in your gut. So if you have poor gut health, you are not going to be producing that feel-good hormone, which is serotonin. So it's really important to make sure we address that gut. Okay, coming into adrenal health. Hands up if, well, I guess now you're probably all aware of either adrenal fatigue or HPA axis dysfunction. Is anyone, hands up if you've heard those terms in particular? Yeah, cool, so quite a few, which is good to see. So what is it? Acute or short-term stress is healthy. It's how we, it's our fight or flight response. It's an essential mechanism for survival in the human body. It is a mechanism that is upregulated and downregulated when needed. However, the issue of today's world, we are chronically and continually stimulated with these pathways due to our busy, technologically driven world that we live in today, leaving us no time to downregulate. So, and to talk on this further, the common misconception I see with stress is people talk about the perceived stress, so that mental and emotional load. But truly, there is more factors than just that. So we have lifestyle, which is not sleeping, it's lack of hydration. We have metabolism, which is poor gut health, and then the fourth component is environmental. So that's that mold and toxins we were talking about earlier. Regardless of what you are dealing with, it all responds in that same way, and is that chronic inflammation. Okay. It was about 3 to 4 years ago now, and it was time for a change. Once I identified the problem, it was now time to undo the years of damage and for the real work to begin. I could talk to you about this for hours. It's something I'm really passionate about. However, for the purpose of this talk, I have decided to focus on a few key changes which I found extremely pivotal in my journey. It's important to remember that not necessarily these will apply to everybody. Everybody has different issues. This is just my journey, and I want to share with what was pivotal in my journey. However, just like Dr. Steve Joe said again, doing these things is going to be quite helpful for you. So the ones I have selected are going to be beneficial for the majority of the population today. So, mindfulness. The introduction of a mindfulness practice may have been the most impactful strategy I've ever implemented in my life. What is mindfulness? Mindfulness is the practice of detaching yourself from the past and the future and bringing yourself into the present moment. Sadly, in this fast-moving world, we're losing the ability to be present in the moment. So really, to me, greatness is being truly present. Oops, no. No, sorry. Oh, yeah, there we go. So, after 22 years of abuse causing severe leaky gut, it was time to repair my gut. So where to start? I tried the elimination diet, trying to identify certain foods that could be the issue, to no overall effect. Knowing something was wrong, I seek testing. So for those that are interested, I went and got IgG and IgA, which is identifying sensitivity. Then it all became clear, as it highlighted an extreme reaction to both gluten and dairy, and a few other foods along with that. However, at this point, my whole diet was based around those two food groups. This is going to be challenging. So I set the goal of 3 months, no gluten, no dairy, with the intention of giving my gut the chance to heal and reset. There was plenty of ups and there's plenty of downs. I figured, especially with figuring out what I could and could not eat, because at this time it wasn't as prevalent as it is today, so there is a lot more choices. But what I did get from it, I had more energy, more mental clarity, no longer bloated, and for the first time my abdominal wall flattened because that bloating was no longer there. I'd never felt better. By the end of the 3 months, I decided not to reintroduce the foods that I loved for such a long time. People often ask me, do I miss the foods? Yes, I do miss the foods, but once you're used to functioning at an optimal level, you don't want to return to suboptimal. So I will not reintroduce them, and it's 4 years down the track now and I still haven't. So I decided to harness my struggle and turn it into a strength to help others. In doing so, I created the tailored method for my business. It identifies clients' underlying issues and imbalances first, and then builds up from the foundation up. Because success to me is being in the service to others to empower them to make a positive change. Okay, time to put the tailored method to the test. How better to prove a method than an extremely ambitious goal that no one thought to be possible? After 3 years of not being able to run due to the severe injuries, I decided to prove that wrong and do Ironman. So, why Ironman? I selected Ironman as it epitomizes athletic potential of the human body, while combined with the need for time management strategies, which for so many of my clients is a struggle that they deal with. So I wanted to answer their problems along with mine at the same time. With less than a year back running, I turned this into a reality earlier this year in March, competing my Ironman and my target goal of sub 11 hours and 10 hours 50. What has this taught me? So, to wrap up, I want to part you with 5 key takeaways that you can take away from today and make actionable steps to making your change. First of all, define your why. Your purpose, your why is your purpose, your cause, your belief that inspires you. First popularised by Simon Sinek, knowing your why gives you a filter to make choices at work, at home, and help you find greater fulfillment in all the things that you do. Without a true sense of why, you lack the drive and purpose to overcome true adversity and achieve true greatness. Dream big. If people say your goal is too big or ambitious, use it as fuel to prove them wrong. Build your team. You're a makeup of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So just like the amazing people we have here today,